This is Weekly Woman by Jubilance for PMS. How do I pronounce your name? Meelie?
Meelie, yeah.
Okay. Pemberton.
Yeah, short for Amelia.
Okay. Wow. It sounds like it just reminds me of Mr. Darcy and Kimberly.
So funny. In Arabic, it means to sway. So when people meet me, they start going like this.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. And I used to live
Oh.
in South Africa, and the staple food there is called mealie meal. So they
Oh,
just used to call
wow.
me mealie meal. So weirdly has funny connotations in different countries.
Wow, that's so interesting. Wait, so what is the food like then? What's mealie meal?
It's like corn. It's like,
Oh.
yeah, I'm not even sure what mealie meal was. I think it was like corn, might even have been corn flour and water turned into like it's like the carbs of the meal that you dip into the juice and stuff. But yeah,
Oh,
I got
wow.
laughed at a lot for being called mealie.
Mealy. That's a nice name though. Wait, so you've lived in South Africa and now you're living in Lebanon. What has caused you to move around and become an expat from your native UK?
Well, I actually lived in South Africa just after school for a year. First midlife crisis. Then I worked as a teacher. I accidentally became a chemistry teacher, thinking I was becoming a primary school teacher. So that was quite hard work. So
Mhm.
I did 4 years of that in London and then decided I needed a change of scenery. So I actually moved to Australia and carried on teaching, but didn't really. I loved the kids. I really love kids, but just didn't enjoy the kind of academic side of the chemistry. I'm not passionate about my subject.
Mhm.
So I quit my job and didn't know what to do. So I just Googled teach refugees anywhere, knowing that I would really enjoy that.
Mhm.
And it wouldn't be kind of IB A-level chemistry. So ended up in a kind of middle-age school in an informal education settlement in Saida in Lebanon, and was meant to go for 2 months on my way home and just never left. And I've now been there for nearly 4 years. No
Wow.
plans to leave.
Oh my gosh.
It's
That's
so bizarre.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy how it just was like, I'm just going to go for 2 months and then you're there. I
I
mean, were
know.
you stuck there during COVID? Did the country shut down?
Um, Stuck would probably be a strong use of the word. I
Oh,
chose
that's
not to
true.
come back.
Okay.
But then on lockdown with my now ex-boyfriend, it probably started to feel a bit like I was stuck there.
I had the same issue, but just in New York. It was like, get away.
Yeah. But no, I wouldn't say I was stuck there, but there was a strict lockdown.
Okay.
Definitely.
Wow. Can you talk a little more about that? I mean, in the United States and kind of I mean, we had very similar political structures at the time, in the UK and then in the United States of denial of coronavirus and also just not being able to like have a fixed lockdown or fixed rules about it. But was Lebanon more strict?
Yeah, I mean, at the beginning, the first proper one, people were strangely obedient.
Oh, wow, that's
I
great.
think, I suppose, a bit like other places, the first time nobody knew what it was.
Mhm.
I had a lot of expat friends who flew home, um, and yeah, people did listen. And then I think then the explosion happened,
Mm.
which was quite a turning point for people. They tried only to let NGOs attend to the aftermath of the explosion. Obviously, would just not ever have been enough,
Yeah.
and people refused. And I think that was kind of the start of people also acknowledging the complete crisis that was going on there financially and realizing that they actually couldn't be locked down.
Wow.
If you don't have a welfare state, you cannot expect people to stay at home when they have no money. I mean,
Mhm.
it's mad that they can even sort of try that. So they tried to do a few more lockdowns after that, and it never really worked again.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's similar of everyone not knowing what it was and then moving about. But yeah, the explosion was terrible there. I'm so sorry about that. And I hope none of your friends were affected. I know like the whole economy was, so everyone felt a little piece of
Yeah.
it.
I mean, even that's an interesting comment because I think the explosion was almost used as a bit of an excuse by politicians there, when actually, oh God, I feel a bit out of turn speaking about the politics. My knowledge is not good enough, but the financial crisis had started long before the explosion. And that just kind of, it highlighted how desperate things were there, but it probably wasn't the cause of the financial crisis.
Oh,
But yeah, it did
interesting.
highlight
Yeah.
how bad things were.
Oh, wow. Um, and let's turn and talk about like the wonderful things about Lebanon, because there are so many great
So many.
things. What is your favorite part about living there?
Oh God, where to start? I mean, first and foremost, it probably has to be the people. I mean, not only do I have friends who I would never have friends with if I'd never left the UK, but the attitude of people towards us. And I do caveat that without wanting to be rude about anyone, but I do caveat that with being white and foreign probably gives a certain way that people are with us, and it means that it's completely lovely. But I also know that I have had friends who are not white who have not had a similar reception. So I absolutely adore the people, and I have been treated nothing but amazingly. But I also do just slightly caveat that with knowing it's not the same for everybody. But we also have friends from just such different backgrounds, people that I would never have met previously. So that's been amazing. But also the diversity of what you can do there. Sort of, we have lovely beach days. You can go skiing. There's beautiful restaurants in the mountains. There's hiking, beautiful like old cultural buildings. It's just endless what you can do there. And I'm always longing to get my friends out there and let them see how beautiful it is, and actually how safe it is. When my friends do come, they're always amazed that you can leave your bags in the car and no one's going to break in and steal them. And I wouldn't even think about, I mean, I have friends that are a little bit more cautious than me, but I have never, I walk around with a wallet with cash in it because it is a cash economy. And I don't know anyone who's been mugged. Obviously, things
Wow.
might be changing, the crisis is getting worse, but on the whole, you feel so safe. I would walk around on my own at night and not feel unsafe.
Wow.
I mean, also caveated with the fact that I'm nearly 6 foot tall, but
You're
still,
nearly 6 foot tall?
I
I'm
am.
6'3".
Oh, okay. You'd be very safe too then.
Yes, great. Now I know. Okay, I don't walk around at night by myself in New York City, so gotta come to Lebanon.
I wouldn't do it in London. It's so bizarre.
Yeah,
Yeah. And people
that's so
have all these
strange.
perceptions.
Yeah, but that sounds lovely with like beach days and the mountains, skiing. So you've got like all aspects, all the everything that you want to do there.
And the food. How did we not mention the food?
Yes, what is the food of choice?
Oh,
What is
God.
your favorite?
Is it too cliche to say hummus?
No, that sounds so good.
The hummus, the salads, some fresh fish, although I try to eat less of that. But the kebabs, the pomegranate seeds on everything, the baba ganoush. Oh, the food is just,
Okay, I'm ready to go today.
yeah, I'm waiting for you, Alice.
Yes. Now, so can you talk to me a little bit about Wing Woman Lebanon? What is it?
Yeah, of course. So, I mean, when you mentioned the explosion actually earlier and all the awful things, there are no real positives, but I guess the silver lining is that we ended up doing a fundraiser, and that led me to see how you can raise money. I just thought, even if I'd had these ideas about doing a project, I would not have known how to start. Anyway, we did a big fundraiser, and through that, we did a lot of rebuilding projects in Beirut and met a lady who taught some sewing classes before. Simultaneously, I had some friends who lived in the refugee camp in Beirut, in Shatila, who were saying that they were going more mad than they were before. They're spending so much time in their houses with all their children not in school, no work, etc. So Wing Woman basically started just as like a psychosocial support, fun, meet other women. And I just invited a few of the women that I knew from different parts of Shatila just to come once a week, and we could all just have a bit of a gossip. Good for me to practice my Arabic, which is still fairly hopeless. and just for them to meet other people living in their communities too. And then not very far in, the women were like, I mean, this has all been driven by the women. They were like, this is great, but we need to make some money. You know, things are terrible. You know, I don't think they felt they were wasting their time because there aren't really jobs available, but they needed to make money if there was an opportunity. So we then had a bit of a think. I have to give credit to this lovely company in London who do really lovely lingerie called Fruity Booty, who really helped us on our journey. They supported us to make some handbags to start with, which they then sold for us and gave us all the profits.
Wow.
And without that, I don't think we'd have had the confidence to go on. I think I did realize in that process that I cannot really be involved in designing handbags because I don't have the skills or probably the passion. Not to say that I wasn't incredibly grateful for the opportunity. And then we were just trying to think of something, you know, in a financial crisis, you don't want to be selling a luxury item anyway. So we were trying to think what would be actually something useful. And through the things that I follow on Instagram or wherever, you know, this is not a novel idea, we decided to try and make reusable period pads. And then a lovely organization called the Patch and Mama Project, I reached out to them and they supported us and gave us advice and helped us, provided materials and stuff. And then, so we started making them. It was very interesting with the women about trying to, I don't want to say convince, because I like to think we kind of all did it together, but they were very open to try, but they weren't sure about the idea of reusable pads.
Okay.
So I foolishly was kind of pushing for the environmental aspect because that's the bit that I feel quite passionate about. Whereas once we started talking about the financial savings that could be made through these pads, I think the women saw a bit more of a benefit.
Okay.
And then we slightly gained confidence when they started making extra ones in their free time for their friends, and the friends were demanding them. And then that was for me when I kind of thought, okay, maybe we could actually make these and sell these. A struggle has been that you can't make these very cheap. You know,
really?
Oh, sorry, I should probably explain what Wing Woman is. So now we basically provide livelihoods through the production, distribution, sale, and the use of reusable essential items. So it's gone from being period pads and period poverty awareness sessions to also reusable diapers. And then we use the waste from our reusable diapers to make reusable breast pads for breastfeeding mums. So a big part of what we do is the periods, for sure. And we've only just finished the training on the diapers. But yeah, getting the women engaged in the products too has been super interesting, and now completely passionate, and set up awareness sessions with their friends in the communities, just doing it by themselves is so lovely to see. And I think that's given me a sense that these women feel very empowered. You know, they really do feel they are giving back to their communities. Not, you know, we try very hard, my co-founder and I, to not dictate everything and very much include the women in the decision-making process and let them guide where we go. Obviously, we are getting a lot of advice from other people too, so that's really useful. But when there's things that we're not sure about what to do, we go back to the women and ask them what they think, and try to engage them from the start too. Wow. And so far, I think we've sold over 25,000 reusable pads.
That's amazing.
Really exciting. Just so, I mean, exciting and sad in a way, because sad in that people are super desperate and this feels like, but exciting because it's a sustainable solution. It's going to last a long time. And we're really trying to push to have more of our awareness sessions go alongside the pad distribution, because we feel period poverty is so multifaceted. It's not just products, it's, you know, it's, I mean, we've learned so much through our awareness sessions of how little knowledge people have on this, and the women that we've spoken to are also very open and acknowledging of the fact that they didn't have this knowledge, and it is crazy.
Can
You know,
you
we
talk a
had
little more about that? Like what are the things that they don't understand about period
um
administration or period poverty?
I mean, there's a lot of myths and taboos, but also, yeah, and actually that's a big part of it. We were at a conference. We were invited to speak at a conference about a project where there were all these young women from the MENA region, the Middle East and North Africa, who were at university studying. And one of the women asked if she could shower on her period. And, you know, we have learned that, you know, this is completely normal, that people have this myth in this region. And Amina answered very, you know, unjudgmentally and explained the situation, and doctors say this is fine. And actually she came up to us afterwards and were like, and she said, this is crazy. If someone like me with this much access to information, with this level of education, and I still have these myths that I believe in because my mum keeps telling me that they're true, there's something more that we need to do here. So moments like this have just made us realize how much we need to push for the education side of thing if we really do actually care about period poverty.
Wow.
I think obviously having the products is awesome, and the feedback we often get from women is that they just feel more relaxed knowing they have something every month, even if it's not their desired perfect solution, if they would rather disposables, but the comfort of knowing that they do have something. It comes back in the feedback a lot, which was
Wow.
interesting for us. I didn't really expect that at all.
So are you selling the period products and the reusable pads to the community of the women that are making these?
Good question. I should have clarified that. No, so we sell to NGOs.
Oh,
We
okay.
feel that is how we will get them to the people who are most vulnerable.
Gotcha.
They're expensive if you do not have access to funds. But we also sell a little bit individually. If people reach out to us and say, I've seen what you're doing, I would like some pads, we will do that, but it's not our main thing. And then the other thing is we have a small fund that we fundraise for, so that we are able to give them away if anyone approaches us. You know, we get people reaching out on Instagram saying, I'm really desperate and I can't afford these, please could you help? Then we don't want to say no to those people either. So mainly through NGOs. So that is how we that's our business model. That's how we manage to provide cash for work for these women.
Oh, wonderful.
And sustain ourselves, because I feel that, and for us, that's super important.
So are you able to hire more women now that you've like expanded to like diapers and the breast pads as well? Are these different women creating these products?
Yeah. So we have 8 women who work on the pads at the moment, and we have 8 women who work on the diapers. So these are jobs that are reliable, full-time. And then we have 11 part-time jobs. And hopefully we are about to receive a grant that will enable us to employ another 8 women in a different region too, which is fun for us just to have another. I mean, Lebanon's very small, so it's not as exciting as it sounds, but it's just fun to be able to target another population. And we'll be hopefully able to do pads and diapers depending on what we are in need of.
Wow. That's wonderful. So are you mostly sustained through grants or through donations or through selling to the NGOs?
Mainly through sales.
Okay.
That is our business model. We never plan to fundraise. But I say that we always plan to fundraise for new hubs. So when we want to buy machines for the women, then we would do that through a grant. And actually something I haven't mentioned is that a big part of what we try to do is ensure that the women are able to access the work. You know, we don't want any discrimination on women in the workplace. So what we've done is every woman gets given a sewing machine, which she then slowly pays us back for over time through her salary, at a rate that is suitable for her. So they work in their house. It kind of fits around their childcare responsibilities, any other responsibilities they have, and equally as important is around the electricity.
Oh,
So
wow.
they can work as and when they have
Oh,
electricity. But we just try to be as flexible as possible. We don't want, if children is the problem causing someone not to be able to attend, bring the
mhm.
children, like that. It just isn't a big deal. And luckily people are very relaxed in Lebanon. So if you're doing a training, there's a couple of children around, nobody seems to mind. So it does sort of work.
Wow, that's wonderful. You're employing so many people, which is amazing. And I never even thought about like the electricity situation. Um,
Being problematic to say the least.
yeah, wow. But wonderful that they can work from home and just be able to like, I mean, women have so many duties in the household. As yeah, especially I don't know. Yeah, but so that's great that they're able to both like be able to take care of their kids and work at the same time. Um, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and so I'm curious, where do you see Wing Woman going in the future?
Well, I mean, obviously, we are always looking for ways to employ more women in Lebanon. Um, we also see the need for men to be involved in this conversation. We do our awareness sessions. The women get super excited and super empowered and sometimes quite angry
Mm,
at the fact that they've never been allowed to speak about this. This is such a normal thing. And you see them, I don't always fully understand because my Arabic is not by any means perfect. But they stand up, and they're like punching the air in expression of how they feel about this. But then we worry that all of that effort that goes into those sessions and the women have these conversations and open up about things they've possibly not spoken about before. And then they go home and again, they can't speak about it.
mm,
Or so we're, as much as we try in the sessions, we sort of do role plays about what to say if your son finds your pads in the cupboard. Like, don't shy away. If you can, try and explain what they're for and where they come from and just make this whole thing normal. But we are thinking that we need to do some more work with the men about how normal this is, because we have 2 men on our team. And not only has it helped to make the women more comfortable talking about this in front of men, it has also made it all very normal for them too.
mm.
So I don't feel it takes a lot. I feel it's not something that, obviously with some serious planning and consideration about how to run the session, but I don't think it's very difficult. It's so obvious once you actually open up the conversation
Mhm.
that I'm sure we will have challenges and things will come up that we haven't thought about, but I do think that's doable. But in terms of, people often ask us if we're trying to get into other countries, and actually what we say to that is if we ever meet an organization who's interested or they reach out and they want help, we just give them everything, tell them what we've done, what we've found, what we've used. We're not protective about this. We
Mhm.
just want more women with pads, more people who menstruate with pads, more anyone that needs them has them.
Mhm.
And we feel it would be silly for us to massively increase our capacity and then be having to ship products. That
Mhm.
to us seems to go against our environmental principles, which I am super passionate about, but my co-founder is even more passionate about. So I think for Jade, shipping things to Africa or even across to Syria seems silly when we could just be training women in those countries to make them, because it's not difficult. If anyone does listen who's thinking about doing this, it's not a difficult thing to do. You just need a bit of energy to organize it all, I'd say.
Yeah. That's wonderful. I think that's a great idea of just like you're able to like help women in these separate countries because then you're employing those women too,
Mm.
which is wonderful. And really great also, I want to like talk about how you want to educate the men as well on what is happening to women's bodies. I mean, that's an issue here in the United States. I'm sure it is in the UK
Yeah,
too. Like
definitely.
some of my partners have been like, what is this? Like, how do you use this? Like plastic? Oh, it's in
Mm.
plastic? Oh, but yeah, I think it's a great question of how do we like start to talk about it? And that's great. Just saying like your son finds the pad. Hey, this is what it's for. This is what this thing is,
Mm.
as opposed to shying away and it being like this taboo subject, like you were saying.
Yeah, and it's also quite fun. The role plays, I mean, we're always all in hysterics. We do another one where um if you're buying pads in a pharmacy and the pharmacist insists that you put them in a black bag, what are you going to do? And I mean, we don't expect women to go away and fight with the pharmacist, but you know, it's just making a point, and they get really angry, and it is very funny.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so fun to watch. Just people, because also that is the joy of training on a taboo topic, is it's a bit silly too. Like people are very ready to giggle about it because everyone's a bit nervous, nobody knows what to say.
Yeah.
And then then they're just silly, which is just great.
That's wonderful. And Meelie, something that we always ask on this podcast is, what is your definition of womanhood?
God, I think it is, if you are someone who identifies as a woman, it is whatever you feel you are. I like, you know, someone who's always been called a tomboy, and I fight back with my mum and say, Mum, I'm just a girl that likes being outdoors, not a boy. Like, that drives me a bit nuts. Why do I have to be defined by being particularly feminine? I think it's whatever you feel you are, and you are a woman. That is, for me, womanhood, because I know I'm not particularly conforming. I wouldn't say I'm completely off confirmation, but yeah, not whatever you think you are.
What a great definition. I love it. Whatever you think you are, you are. That's brilliant.
That is, if you are a woman and you feel something, that is womanhood.
Yeah, perfect. And Meelie, is there anything else you'd like to add? How do people find out more about Wing Woman Lebanon?
Oh, well, we're very much in the process of trying to set up our website. But we are on Instagram at Wing Woman Lebanon. So please come and follow us. And if you're bored, feel free to like every single photo, because that helps other people find us. But yeah, I mean, just keep an eye on what we're up to. We just love hearing people's comments and any support, or if anyone is looking for any volunteer activity and has a skill to offer, we are open to everything and anything and any ideas. So yeah, anything really.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being on, Meelie. It's so nice to get to talk to you.
Thank you for having me. It's been quite jolly.